This is a book review of John Bindernagel's first book, North America's Great Ape, The Sasquatch. A wildlife biologist looks at the continent's most misunderstood large mammal. And this is really a terrific book. Bindernagel writes in a really great style. It's not too scientific. It's not too stringent as far as scientific standards go. It's actually quite enjoyable and quite understandable. Um, it's written from a scientist's point of view, but it's not heavily scientific. Um, apparently, his new book, from what I've seen one review of it, kind of furthers the arguments that were put forth in this book. But this is a review of this book for right now. As far as there's eyewitness reports, some really good eyewitness reports that John has received in his files, and also some from John Green. There's Sasquatch appearance and anatomy, as far as how the Sasquatch looks, what it looks like, things of that nature. It basically just it tells you physical evidence, tracks, another sign, feeding behavior, and food habits. But all this is done based on observations from witnesses, which is a great thing. Bindernagel looks into Sasquatch scat and compares it to bear scat. Beds, nests, and dens, feeding sign, stacked rocks and pits, dislodged, disturbed, or thrown objects, carcasses of prey animals, broken or twisted off saplings, bones and teeth, hair, odor, tracks, Sasquatch behavior, responses to humans, and really fascinating stuff in that section. It's split off into different sections. There's also ape behavior as a means of understanding Sasquatch behavior, and putting the Sasquatch in perspective, which is Sasquatch anatomy, gait, and behavior, conclusions, and there's appendices. There's details of appearance and anatomy, anatomical characteristics of sex, additional aspects of locomotion and positional behavior, nest building, odor, feeding behavior, calls, non-vocal sounds, specific examples of behavior. Plus there's notes. Bindernagel has several notes, or has several footnotes all throughout the book, and also a glossary, references, and index. And a lot of the stuff I do agree with. There are some aspects I don't agree with, such as comparing the Sasquatch to an ape. I don't think we're dealing with apes. I don't think we're dealing with big gorilla type creatures. I think we're dealing with something more human-like. But really, I can't find too many faults with this book. Not at all. It's copiously illustrated. There's lots of eyewitness drawings. Some very interesting eyewitness drawings in here. Here's one. Here's a very interesting one. As you can see, here's one from a somewhat famous sighting. A couple of prospectors in 1965 in British Columbia had a sighting, and you may notice the arm and the hand. The hand looks very much like an oar or a paddle that you would use on a boat. Well, that's how they described it, and that's how they drew it. as you can see right there. And there's interesting photographs in here. Uh, one thing that I really like is this. This is a field drawing. Now on the right you see the field drawing of a bear, and if you were to go to a field guide to North American mammals, and you were looking for the closest description for a Sasquatch, this is what you would find. This is the closest thing you'd find would be a bear. Well, John Bindernagel went one step further and had this drawn. So not only does he have the bear, not only does he have bear front and side profile, he has a Sasquatch front and side profile. So for those witnesses who say, well, what I saw was upright and walked upright and stood upright, of course, what happens is they're told, well, you may have seen a bear standing upright. Well, they go to this drawing right here, and they say, no, this does not match what I saw, but this does. This matches exactly what I saw. So you have your comparison between the bear and between the bear and the Sasquatch. So that's also I think that's also a terrific thing. And then you have a photograph, or a sketch rather. It's a photograph of a sketch made by William Rowe's daughter under his direction. Sketch is pretty famous. It's been around for a long time. William Rowe, who had a sighting in 1955 in British Columbia on Mica Mountain. Right here is the sketch that his daughter drew under his direction. And there's also all kinds of one other thing that I like about this is he has photographs of Sasquatch tracks right here, and then he compares them to bear footprint photographs, and these are bear footprints. So he has several interesting photographs, examples of casts of footprints. There's a footprint right here, and a cast. Actually, that's the cast that he got himself at Strathcona National Park in British Columbia in 1988. And there's several photographs of examples of actual footprints in the ground, and also footprint casts, things of that nature. There's also illustrations of different areas that the Sasquatch has been seen in. All kinds of really, really fascinating stuff in this book. It's one of my favorites. Even though, again, I disagree with his assessment of Sasquatch being an ape, although you could make the argument that humans are apes, so therefore the comparison would have some validity if you were to look at it from the perspective of humans being apes. But I do highly recommend getting this book. It can be found at beachcomberbooks.com. I believe you can also find it on Amazon. You can also find this on Amazon. You might, if you're lucky, you might be able to get a signed copy of this through Beachcomber Books. I was fortunate enough to meet Dr. Bindernagel at the Yakima Bigfoot Roundup, and he signed the book for me. So, but I say yes, a 5 out of 5 stars. I do recommend this book. I do recommend getting it. Whether you agree with Bindernagel's assessments of Sasquatch being an ape or not, that's, to me, irrelevant, because I really enjoy this book. This is a really great book. It's a worthy addition to any cryptozoological library, cryptozoological collection. I do recommend getting it.